Hi, welcome to Full Crazy Town, episode 13. All new material. I'm Stephen Cole, the mayor of Full Crazy Town. And I'm pretty well done reading my book and trying to get it posted on YouTube Studio and all that stuff. But um, I have been taking notes through the week because this last week, like every other week since 2015 or so, is like a week like none other when decades of events happen in a week, whereas sometimes weeks go by without anything happening. It's been full crazy town for quite some time. And I kind of want to start off my post book reading podcasting with kind of a basic philosophy. Um, a while back, I've got an 8-year-old grandson, and I think back when he was about 3 or so, back maybe before the pandemic, we were watching the Pixar movie Coco, and it's about the little Mexican boy whose dog dies, and he's really sad. But then Dios de los Muertos says the anybody who goes over the Rainbow Bridge is there waiting for you when it's your turn to go over the Rainbow Bridge. It's a really good message, great music. Um, we all have our life philosophy that kind of keeps us going. Like, oh no, life is hard, then you die. But the Coco message is one that I could see getting behind. I mean, uh, you got to believe in something or you don't. But as far as a message of hope, I really like that. And so the main message is doggies who have gone over the Rainbow Bridge will be waiting for us when it's our turn. Great music, message of hope. Why not believe in this happy ending? So that's where I'm coming from. Despite all the bad crap happening, but I'm still kind of like bumping up against people that just like to argue about small, insignificant things. The Trump derangement syndrome has been going on for 8 years. And in my book, I have a quote from the ex-CIA agent J. Fletcher Prouty. And in the book, or his quote was about the JFK shooting. And I've just finished American Memory Hole by Don Jeffries, I think his name is. But he's all the conspiracy theories, every one, and then some, are you can just about put a pin in it. You can just about prove that JFK, um, you know, a controlled hit, um, 9/11, a controlled implosion. Blah, 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 blah. Anyway, let me just read this ex-CIA agent J. Fletcher Prouty said about the JFK shooting. That assassination has demonstrated that most of the major events of world significance are masterfully planned and orchestrated by an elite coterie of enormously powerful people who are not of one nation, one ethnic group, or one overridingly important business group. They are a power unto themselves, for whom these others work. Neither is the power elite of recent origin. Its roots go deep into the past. And so when I kind of springboarded off that, I'll come back to the recent events, but I say in my book about, who's really in charge, who's really in control of us, and, calling the shots. And Cat Williams has a lot to say about the truth shall be revealed in 2024, and it has. Um, Diddy's gone down, others going down with him. And Cat Williams had a lot to say about the Illuminati. He said, "Yeah, I was recruited by the Illuminati. I gave it a pass." He went there with some other rapper from LA, and the other guy, yeah, oh yeah, I'm in, but nah. Cat Williams kind of saw, behind the curtain and like, yeah, you really want to give up your personal freedom for a bunch of psychopaths? And not all the sociopath, I think, is a better way of saying, like, the way the Illuminati spawned other secret societies, Freemasons, right up until the present. You have the Bohemian Grove north of San Francisco. And, everybody wants to be in a secret society, right? Yeah, we're privileged, we're brainiacs, uh, we want the to change the world to benefit all of humankind. And it ain't necessarily so. I mean, you can just imagine, the kind of person that wants to believe that, oh, yeah, the World Economic Forum, it's right there, the world economy for all. Yeah, it's not so bad. But the belief in the secret societies have led us right up to um, the Zionists, who whose goal is to dominate the world. And if ever their secret plans are exposed, the deal is to blame the Jewish people and deflect criticism or recognition from the dominionists, the Zionists. Um, they're globalists. They want to do away with all nations, all religions. And so, if they can get the Middle East, to erupt in hellfire and brimstone, they kind of just move in to pick up the pieces and continue their dominionist ways. Their plan for ruling the world is by enslaving humanity, and this can take many forms. Besides just slavery, which existed for 400 years, you have now the prison industrial complex, where you get Nixon and Reagan's war on drugs to Biden's crime bill, and then you have um, the secret powers that flood our society with drugs, opium, oxycontin. You have remember the difference between crack cocaine and flake cocaine. Crack for thugs, black people, put them in prison. Cocaine, oh, those are for the movers and shakers and the brainiacs and the doers, and they need that cocaine so they can lead us to a better world for all. Anyway, chaos is the goal of these. I know. One time I talked. Chris Hedges was the one that came up with the capitalists want to keep the game going, but the oligarchs want to just foster chaos, and that means they can swoop in and buy up these banks or businesses for pennies on the dollar. And again, just pick up the pieces and consolidate more power and carry on. So chaos is the goal, and spreading chaos is the number one goal. So chaos, and I just finished reading the book called Chaos. Basically talked about how the hippie movement in the late 60s had to be co-opted and channeled into something more controllable, and that feminism had to be strictly controlled and regulated. And Gloria Steinem was a CIA asset, not an agent, but an asset that was supposed to convince women to get a career, don't have kids, don't be nurturing and helpful for society, but get a career, and that's the ticket. But back to slavery, and Epstein fits into this human trafficking, enslaving humanity. For him, it was the child sex trade, sex trafficking. And then you had the cash for kids. Biden just got around to pardoning the Pennsylvania judge who was taking money to put kids who were just busted for underage drinking, should be let off with a warning. But for this judge, he was sentencing these kids to like years in the local prison industrial camp. And the kids were coming out traumatized, angry, suicidal. But Epstein was big on it. Underage sex trafficking, cult-like, satanic. Really, you have the it's like ritual sacrifice and the Bohemian Grove, where now this is Kurt Metzger talking. I asked him what his source was on this, but he said, yeah, when the delegates or the members of the Bohemian Grove show up for their annual retreat, you've got witches and warlocks outside the main gates chanting incantations, welcoming, weird satanic rituals. Dangerous. It's fucking dangerous. Now you are getting some pushback with the election of actually more of a rejection of Harris than it was an election of Trump. But Stephen A. Smith, the sports guy, comes on. He says, I'm done with Dems. Like he was kind of trying to put his politics into a sports thing. And the guy said, And so he has his own podcast now where he can really cut loose. Get beyond the identity politics, everything boiling down to race and gender and rugged individuals. Don't try to organize. Don't try to, do anything about it. Just accept your lot in life. But anyway, let's see. I had some other stuff. Well, yeah, about judges, the permanent state. A lot of people wonder, what do we call it? Deep state? No, that's what Trump calls it. If you use the term deep state, that means you're a Trumpanista. But I heard somebody use the term permanent state, which is who runs everything all the time. Everybody says, wow, Biden's out of it. He can't even think. How could he be orchestrating this? Well, he did help his son Hunter get in good with Burisma and the biolabs and the corruption in Ukraine, and just helped to get that going. but it's the permanent state that has kind of just been orchestrated. Like originally we thought, what's this proxy war about? Why it was okay to weaken the Soviet Union in Afghanistan in the 80s. That worked okay to fold the USSR, but you can't fold Russia. Napoleon's been trying. Everybody, Hitler's tried. Everybody's tried to fold Russia, but no, it's too big, too powerful, too many people, too many resources. So, what was the point of the proxy war? If you can't, it said, oh, we were trying to weaken them, and make the people suffer, and maybe they'll overthrow Putin because, well, we're suffering. But no, what it turns out is the genocide. What's that all about? It looked like a death wish for Bibi Netanyahu to start bombing the Gazans and turning world opinion against him and his backer, the United States and UK to some extent, but not much. It's just like, hey, what now? They're doomed, right? Maybe this is the Zionist dream to blame the Jews and cause the end of Israel. Not so fast. It turns out the idea was to occupy Russia, not physically, but to keep them busy so that when Act 2 in Syria came about, where did I wrote that down somewhere. Act 2. Oh, yeah, here we go. So the dirty war, 2011, 2015, 16, whatever, can be seen as Act 1 in the U.S. hegemony play. Now, HTS, remember HTS equals al-Nusra equals al-Qaeda. Now, HTS will take on Hezbollah. Now, Syria's getting uglier and uglier with the BBC and CNN reporters in the country cheering on the rebels, freeing the one political prisoner in the empty jail who's well taken care of, not a political prisoner looker at all, but the CNN reporter put her hand over her heart. Oh, this is so special to free the prisoner. And then it turns out just another plant, like J. Fletcher Prouty said. Most of the major events of world significance are masterfully planned and orchestrated. So that's what we're seeing. And cheering on the rebels. HTS is not only targeting certain religious sects like Nasrallah and the military installations, they're executing engineers, researchers, high tech workers, munitions, manufacturers, and scientists. So they're making Syria unable to ever recover to be a thorn in Israel's side again. Israel's moving in, taking territory, especially around the Golan Heights. The EU has refused refugees. By the way, the CEO shooting is a distraction to make it seem like government at least pays lip service to issues that are important to liberals, like race and gender. But they ignore the any and all economic issues, equal rights issues, special rights. We'll go for that. Equal rights, forget about it. It's best to focus on special rights and liberty and justice for some, but not all. Then, right after the Syria fell, Romania, same template. sanctions, hurt the citizens, make them want to overthrow their leaders to get the U.S. backed, Western backed dictator in there to another domino. I have some context on this whole Syrian Romanian thing from Aaron Mate, but I may get to that later. I have some other things I want to do today. And I'm already 20 minutes into this, and I haven't even gotten to what I really want to talk about. But you had in 2011, capitalizing on the anti government protests that erupted as part of the Arab Spring, the US partnered with Israel, Gulf monarchies, Turkey, and other NATO states to wage a regime change campaign targeting Assad. The CIA led operation condemned Timber Sycamore. The CIA led operation was codenamed Timber Sycamore, proved to be one of the costliest covert action programs in the history of the CIA. $1 billion. And this was where, I talked about it. $1 billion. And that the CIA armed and trained nearly 10,000 insurgents. So, see, it was just kind of al-Nusra in 2011 said, didn't quite work that way. We didn't know Russia was going to come in and Iran was going to back them up and fight everybody to a standstill in the civil war. And that would still give the U.S. the resource-rich northeastern third of Syria, wheat, oil. And when Trump tried to pull troops out, he told the Pentagon, well, what are we doing there? Well, we have no business being there. I want those troops withdrawn. And the CIA went, okay, orange guy, we'll withdraw them. Fake. And they didn't. And when Trump found out they didn't, and he was punked, and a reporter said, hey, you said you were going to, and what happened? And Trump just said, we got the oil. Next question. So he's telling like it is, not freedom, not democracy. We got the oil. But the $1 billion went to train the Free Syrian Army. So as each one of those 10,000 new recruits and militants got $2,000 a month, whereas the sanctioned actual Assad's Syrian army could only afford $7 a month. Let's see, 2,000 versus. So when the push came to shove, Act 2 shifts in. There was just no appetite. The Russians couldn't come to the rescue. Iran didn't want to trigger World War III. Assad didn't really want to go with anymore if he wasn't going to have the backing. He just said, hey, let me out of here. So he did. And that was it. HTS, Hayat Tahrir al-Sham. So you still have 900 U.S. soldiers taking the oil and wheat. Secret plan. Yeah. Anyway. A lot happening. I mean, I could talk about it forever. But I think what I want to get into is kind of like setting up the next several weeks of podcasting. I want to get started off on the right foot. And that means kind of going into my own personal philosophy, kind of what got me started thinking, clearly about what the hell's going on. And when my spouse and I worked in Kuwait, this was like 2006. We were international teachers there for several years, Kuwait and the UAE. And I was reading Dr. Andrew Weil's book. I forget what it was called, but he was sometimes called the baby boomer doctor. And he was really trying to focus, people on who were getting towards the end of their career in their 50s, 60s, thinking about retiring. You want to go off on a high note. You want to retire into something and not just retire from life. A lot of women report, yeah, when my husband retired, he just sat in front of the TV all day and died about 2 years later. But Dr. Andrew Weil came up with, well, I don't know if he came up with it, cognitive therapy, I think it was. Basically, that you cannot hold two thoughts in your head at the same time. The impact of a negative thought on feelings can be canceled by thinking a positive one. Like what? Like basic dog philosophy, outlook on life. Doggies who have gone over the rainbow bridge will be waiting for us when it's our turn. And that's not just dogs, it's everybody has to go over the rainbow bridge, but people seem to miss their dogs almost more than some family members. And it can kind of be seen like family members will blow hot and cold. Dogs always love you, unconditional love. So they're waiting right on the other side of the rainbow bridge for us when we get there, and they'll take us to our family members who have died before us. And that for me would be my dear sister Betsy, died of leukemia shortly after getting vaccinated. And before that, my dad died at 94 and a half in 2015. And before that, my dear mother died of lung cancer in 2001, before she even got to be 80. So that's what and as far as a dog, I mean, I haven't had a dog since I had Phoebe, little Phoebe, my favorite little dog from when I was at the end of my college stay. She stayed with my parents when I zoomed off in 72 to go travel around Europe Europe, and then Asia, went overland to Asia. That was my bust a move type, went through Turkey, Iran, Afghanistan, Pakistan, went down to Goa in south of Bombay, now called Mumbai, and then up to Kathmandu, trekking around. So I was gone 10 months, kind of made me who I was. But after coming back, let's see. Yeah, Phoebe was only around for a few years. When I came back, I was in the juice bar, rock and roll, natural food business in Atlanta with my dear sister Betsy. And Phoebe died after a while. But I've had other dogs in my life since Phoebe. And one of the main ones was Andre, the little Yorkie poo that my daughter had for 15 years. She was working as a Progressive insurance agent as she put her husband through to get his master's. And then she got into, let's see, did she? I can't quite remember. Anyway, she went from Progressive to her own practice as a therapist. And that's when Andre died, and they've since gotten a new dog, a little Coco. I mean Cardi C for Coco instead of Cardi B. My grandson was the one that really liked Coco, the movie about going over the Rainbow Bridge, and great Mexican music, uplifting message. And so I always envisioned Andre waiting for me over the Rainbow Bridge, and he'll take me to see my sister and parents, and hook me up with Phoebe and other dogs that I had before, way before Phoebe, when I was just a elementary school kid. I had Riff Raff and Brandy. Barely had them for very long. I get hit by cars, heartbreak upon heartbreak. But anyway, yeah, those two thoughts, if you hold the good thought, anytime you start thinking bad stuff like regrets of the past or anxiety of the future, get that thought, get that one positive place about what happens when you die. No reason to be fearful. Over the Rainbow Bridge, meet up with all your loved ones, and you know uh, they're there forever, and then you're there to welcome other people, friends, family, dogs, whatever. When they die, you're there to welcome them. It's just such a happy message. I can't see why anybody would think, well, when you die, you go to heaven, and you have to, wait at the Golden Gate to see if, this Santa Claus or whatever the guy's name is there at the to check you in to see if you've been naughty or nice. Anyway, positive thoughts, thinking. Dr. Andrew Weil said, besides the two thoughts thing, it's important to access the dream world. Dreams, like reading a book before bedtime. Helps if you have it's a good book, it's a good message. You want to get the message firmed up within yourself, the dream world. And I'm currently taking a sleep aid, which is also a treatment for depression or stress or anxiety, Tamiflu, I think. And the doctor said one thing, it gives you vivid dreams, not nightmares, vivid dreams. And for me, I find, yeah, they're vivid, and they're not nightmares, but they ain't necessarily the sweetest, happiest, most rainbow bridgey type things. A lot of them are weird. I mean, weird. And weird dreams, I think, really make you think, like, where did that come from? And for me, it's a lot of just kind of lingering anxiety, like test anxiety from school, or I didn't study for this test, and the finals is, or I don't know what my schedule is. I'm going through high school, the corridors, and well, what's my schedule? Where am I supposed to be? Oh, I haven't been to this class. And in college, I did that a lot. I wouldn't go to a class. I just sort of get notes or find out what to do, and then pass. I didn't have that good of a GPA, but and I got through. Anyway, it's important to access the dream world. It's important to relax, meditation, yoga, massage, sauna. What I do anymore, if I wake up in the middle of the night, which I always do, and can't get back to sleep easily, a lot of times I'll just breath therapy, just sort of, in through your nose, hold it, out through your mouth, and do that like 20 or 30 times. And a lot of times you'll find, like about 17 or 18, you get thinking about something else. Okay, recognize it. Where does it come from? Process it back to one, two, and just repeat, rinse, repeat, wash, rinse, repeat. Try to avoid overstimulation of the sympathetic nervous system, that feeling of moving from one crisis to the next. But we have a choice how to react to crises. So that's the deal. Sure, there's going to be crises. Sure, there's going to be trials and tribulations, but how we react is the key. Positive. Keep on the sunny side, always on the pet the cat, pet the dog, breathe, relax, smile. Smiling releases endorphins, and those are the feel-good hormones. Rest and relaxation are not the same. Rest is non-doing. Relaxation are active techniques to influence the nervous system. Andrew Weil was the one who talked about the breathe in through your nose, because that puts oxygen right into the brain. No need to hold it. Holding your breath puts oxygen into the bloodstream faster, and that gets oxygen to all parts of the body. But when you breathe in through your nose, that's going close to the brain, and that puts oxygen right there, right now. In slowly through the nose, expanding your stomach. In the schools, they're up on this. They call this belly breathing, where you pooch out your stomach so that you're giving more, taking the pressure off your lungs, and you want to fill your lungs from the bottom up. So it's pooch out your stomach, in through your breath, hold it, fill from the bottom up and hold it. And you can hold it, the longer you hold it, the better. You can feel that tension also when you start to, I've got to breathe. That tension is what helps release the endorphins, because you're feeling like, no oxygen. I'm going to die. I need endorphins to tell me what to do. And the endorphins say, relax, enjoy life, quit worrying about it. Exhale by blowing out through the mouth, so you're not putting CO2 out your nose and into your brain. You're getting rid of that CO2 for the next oxygen, nitrogen, whatever, air intake. and the last breath, you want to squeeze out the last of the breath, or the air in your lungs, so that you can more adequately fill your lungs from bottom to top. You have to squeeze everything out before you can fill everything up. Visualization. Imagine your happy places, actual place. For me, for years, it was the Oregon Country Fair, where it was the Brigadoon type of place that only came to life for 3 days every summer outside of Veneta, Oregon, where all this used to be called the Renaissance Fair. Big fun. Son of a gun was big fun. I wrote all about it in my book. Anyway, some place where you feel supremely happy, secure, peaceful. You want to daydream, fantasize. Body work is good after visualization. Body work, massage, activates the relaxation response. Also, music, dancing, hot baths. You want to do something to make yourself relax. Depression is almost in a pandemic in this country. Can be managed but not cured with drugs. It can lower your immunity and block the relaxation response. Optimists don't let rejections and defeats affect their self-worth. Optimism can be learned Think of yourself as capable and resilient. Think about what brings happiness and security to you. Humor helps. Try to see how ridiculous life and life's events can be. And that gets back to that happy place that, as things come in, you can't change events once they've happened, but you can certainly change how you react to them. Incongruities and absurdities can help you get past misfortunes. Um, Try to see the humor. Try to foster your spirit. That's your unchanging essence. So, like now you have a certain spirit. After you die, the spirit is what goes over the rainbow bridge. Exactly the same. And you recognize other people's and dogs' spirits more than like, oh, there's my little Fifi, Fido. But it's our positive traits can help us, inspire us in time of need. Our positive traits can help us engage more with life, to live it to the fullest and to fulfill our potential for accomplishment. And I've always kind of said that accomplishments seem to be more of a goal in life than happiness. Because if it makes you happy to be fostering genocide, maybe that's not the happiness that would say is good for humankind. But accomplishments, if you're accomplishing things for humanity, for the greater good, for the common cause, and not just for your own greed. I've always said there's two kinds of people, um, selfish and compassionate. And never the two meet up. I mean, if you're selfish, you're more concerned with yourself and your uh, goals, your happiness. And if you're compassionate, it's more of a altruistic vision of the common good and the greater good and the common cause. The pursuit of happiness. What about that? What about accomplishments? A worthy cause, fulfillment. Admiring art, pursuing art, appreciating art, doing art, things that raise your spirit. You want to practice forgiveness. And this especially goes for yourself and like the regrets thing. If you find yourself just, every time you think about something in the past, oh, I should have done that, I would have, could have, should have. Try to get beyond that. Try to channel that energy into something good that you've done, something good that you want to do, something good that you expect to happen. Now, here's one that came from Dr. Andrew Weil, and Chris Hedges really helped me to write my ethical will. This is when, I started on this like in 20 years ago, thinking about it, but it really wasn't until I started tuning into Chris Hedges, ordained minister, war correspondent, seen it all, and came through it with feelings of hope and positiveness. So, the ethical will is where you write out your values, the life lessons that you wish to leave to others. It helps us make sense of our lives and the fact of our own aging. It's like a love letter to your family, perhaps friends, community, whatever. It's a way to share your values, your blessings, your ethics, standards, principles, your hopes, dreams for the future. And I was kind of doing this when I started off my project called Write a Book with Me. And there's something I really came across I really wanted to share. Write a Book with Me. How did I get on to? I know. What I found out about people who lived in the Midwest who came to Oregon in the mid 70s, what brought them here? What brought me here? And by writing an ethical will, I realized it was the Kent State massacres, May the 4th, 1970, that turned me into an anti-war activist and helped me write, or not just write my ethical will then, but helped me realize what my values were. And I was reading about, I don't know where it came from, but Devo, the punk group from Akron, Ohio. Now, Kent State is just slightly northwest of Akron. And I was reading kind of just the Wikipedia thing about Devo, and it said the Kent State massacres in May the 4th, 1970, is what helped Devo come up with the name De-Evolution. They saw that, the Mothersbaugh brothers, and there was another set of brothers that saw those Kent State shootings as the de-evolution of America, of the society, of the government, of the country, and the fact that people made excuses. Oh, those soldiers were afraid. And as a side note, I must admit, I didn't know what to do in 1969 when a lot of my high school friends were getting drafted because Vietnam, and I decided to put my trust, my faith in Nixon's plan for the draft lottery, and I got number 252. So while my friends were getting drafted, and I will admit my white friends, got drafted into like Germany or Fort Sill, Oklahoma, whereas my black friends got drafted into Vietnam, and some of them didn't come back. So I don't know. I get going on. Oh yeah, the Kent State massacre, Devo, de-evolution, help form your ethical will, your values, help you know who you are. And I've come up with this for many times in the recent past. I'll ask people, have you ever thought about an ethical will? And they're, what's that? That's where you write down your values, your morals, your standards, principles, to communicate to your friends, family, acquaintances, anybody in the community. And most people just kind of go, little question mark floating above the head. Never even thought it. And I was that way. I never even really thought about it till Andrew Weil told me to think about it. And then Chris Hedges helped me formulate my ethics and values, because he is about the most ethical dude I know. And I found myself trying to write an ethical will and listen to Chris Hedges, and all I could write at the time was what he said. But it also helped me start to do the Write a Book with Me project, helped me to get my thoughts in order once Trump was elected, and then Russiagate, he's a Russian agent, 3 years in the Mueller investigation, and then Hunter Biden's laptop story is Russian information, the FBI told us, and hey, wow, the FBI are the good guys now? Yes. And Fauci's the good guy too. And COVID, lockdowns, mandates, hate your neighbor, distrust half of the country, as snobs versus slobs, right? Your professional middle class, professional managerial class demonizing the anti-vaxxers. Boy. That's where we stand. And there are other things that I have. I've just got about 10 minutes. And I just want to kind of introduce Bill Bryson's introduction to what he wrote a book called A Short History of Nearly Everything. And this goes way back. I don't know when I got onto this, but I think it was about the time I was doing the Dr. Weil thing in Kuwait in 06. But he starts off his short history of nearly everything, Bill Bryson. What I found is a mind boggler. And I might want to read this twice because not now, but I like finish today and then start the next one, because I think if you really listen to the words and really think about it, you're incredible. It's amazing that you're here. We're here. How did we get here? Well, Cat Williams says the Illuminati helped the Egyptians build the pyramids, and Knights Templar initiated all their new members in the pyramid, and that the technology that existed 4,000 years ago would not enable the Egyptians to build. So it must have been aliens or superior race or spirits that float around the universe and just help people, and sometimes for good, and sometimes people use that information for evil. Anyway, it's a mind boggler. Here we go. For 3.8 billion years, think about it, every one of your forebears on both sides has been attractive enough to find a mate, healthy enough to reproduce, and sufficiently blessed by fate and circumstances to live long enough to do so. Not one of your pertinent ancestors was squashed, devoured, drowned, starved, stuck fast, untimely wounded, or otherwise deflected from its life's quest of delivering a tiny charge of genetic material to the right partner at the right moment to perpetuate the only possible sequence of hereditary combinations that could result eventually, astoundingly, and all too briefly in you. 3.8 billion years. Everything had to go perfectly for you to be here, me to be here, us to be here, and to go forward from here. All too briefly, that's right. We're all going to be going over that rainbow bridge soon. Prepare yourself. I do want to kind of get into this. Bill Bryson, he really weaves a tapestry. He starts off with just you had researchers searching for the beginning of the Big Bang, and it's so hard, so hard. And at the same time, these researchers were doing this. This is in the mid '60s when Arno Penzias and Robert Wilson were working on a large communication antenna for Bell Labs in Holmdel, New Jersey. They kept getting background noise, a steady hiss, just 50 miles away in Princeton, a team was searching for cosmic background radiation from the Big Bang. Unbeknownst to them, Penzias and Wilson found it. Penzias and Wilson won the Nobel Prize in physics in 1978 for finding the background noise, the beginning of the Big Bang, and put those physicists in Princeton to shame. And they were so ticked. Oh, we should have won that Nobel Prize. Why didn't they tell us and let us win? I'll do a little bit more. I want to get down to Isaac Newton because Bryson comes back to him again and again. And in my book, I talk about how Sir Isaac Newton and so many of these other UK brainiacs were on to more than just science and exploration and new discoveries. But you'd had, why did I say Pluto is smaller than our moon? Why did I write that? Who knows? I did talk about Edmund Halley, sea captain, cartographer, professor of geometry, deputy controller of the Royal Mint, astronomer, royal inventor of the deep sea diving bell. He liked opium. He wrote about it. He didn't discover the comet that bears his name. But Isaac Newton, brilliant, solitary, joyless. He invented the calculus, told no one about it for 27 years, studied alchemy and wayward religious pursuits. Halley visited him in August of 1684 and asked about calculus and said, hey, I think I've come up with something. But Isaac Newton goes back into his files and said, no, I came up with this 27 years ago. You have Neville Maskelyne, wanted to weigh the Earth, worked with Charles Mason, an astronomer surveyor, to measure the passage of Venus across the sun in 1761. He paired up with Jeremiah Dixon. They went towards Sumatra and were attacked by a French frigate. They met Maskelyne off St. Helena. 4 years in America, settled a boundary dispute between the estates of William Penn and Lord Baltimore. Mason didn't like Maskelyne and his place to measure the transit. And I've been so long since I've looked at this, but he asked Charles Hutton, the mathematician, to help him connect the lines of elevation, and Hutton invented contour lines. Well, that's about all I can get into. This all does tie in later on, and I'm going to have to talk about it again because you have to keep so much like Mason-Dixon line. There's so much kind of interconnectedness. It's really fascinating. That's why Bill Bryson talks about his short history of nearly everything. He really talks about a lot and get you thinking. And I'm thinking that it's 3:59. You want to stay tuned for Due Dissidence Dudes coming on. And I thank anybody who has been tuning in, is tuning in, or will tune in to Full Crazy Town. I'm having a lot of fun doing it. I will try to have a blend of personal philosophy, what made me come out of my shell and to get cosmic. But I also want to follow the money, follow the events, and try to figure out what the heck's going on as we head for the Rainbow Bridge. And so I hope you guys have a good week. Like I said, stay tuned for Due Dissidence. See you later. Thanks for watching. Bye now.